expects his stockbroker to buy and sell for him as he sees the market change. Because the stock market interests him, because he already owns a number of different shares, he enjoys looking to the Financial Times every day, seeing how his shares are doing and looking for new opportunities. But now the stock exchange has taken the next logical step. In this part of the stock exchange, people can deal in the options themselves. In other words, there's a market been set up where options can be traded. It's the traded options market. And
policeman just piled on top of them.
What
Threw them onto the floor.
What would you do then?
Well, I want to go down to Wood Street and make a formal complaint down at the police station. And the thing is, I don't have the policeman's number. Well, all six of them.
Certain you are, and I think you're making a bloody nuisance of yourself.
What? No, I'm just with the TV.
Oh, I see. All right. Sorry, I thought you were one of the
No, this is a Stop the City demonstration.
I know it is, yes.
What do you know? What do you have anything to do? Do you know what's going on?
Only roughly speaking, yes.
How do you feel about it?
Unprintable.
Unprintable?
Yeah, that's right.
You wouldn't expand on that?
Well, simply that every time there's a political dispute, the poor innocent bystander, the public gets a black eye.
Yeah. Are you on your way into the stock exchange?
I am, sorry, but I don't have any comment.
What's happening in the city today?
Nothing at all.
No?
No.
What's happening in the city today?
Nothing. I'm a stockbroker.
Right. How do you feel about the protest that's being made here today?
Not a lot. It's the way you alienate the public.
Who alienates the public?
This lot.
I don't even know what it's all about.
Do you work in the city yourself?
I do, but as far as I'm concerned, I think really, well, anything really. These demonstrations are useless, really.
Why do you think they're useless?
Well, something like this is really futile, really, compared with, what's actually going small gesture may actually do something towards something, but...
So do you feel that this is a pointless gesture?
I think if people did it more constructively, probably it's a far best way of doing it.
How do you think would be a better way of making a statement? Like, do you think that this is...
Well, no, I don't think the people that go into it are the people to really be talking about it. You know, if you had more moderate people, or by lots of things, moderate people to actually go and speak about the issues, probably...
I don't know what it's about, which is a bad start.
It's called Stop the City.
Well, I don't see what you're going to do to stop it, I'll tell you, man.
Well,
I don't think this is going to stop it. I can't really believe that stopping the traffic and making the police horses jump up and down is really going to do much about it. I'm afraid...
Do you feel it's a futile gesture?
I do, I'm afraid.
Why so?
I don't think it's succeeding in doing anything.
Go on, move. Fucking run it! Go back!
Well, I work in social services, okay? We have hospital, we can't give enough home helps, meals and wheels for the elderly. Every day I'm having to say no to people. We're overstretched, we've got a growing elderly population, they're wasting money on all sorts of irrelevant things like tridents, everything else like that. And when enough is enough, I'm here to protest against war. I don't care if I get arrested. I don't like violence, but the police will start it if they can. Because that's what they use. They'll be using the SPG before long. We've seen them. In fact, it comes to snap squads. Here we go, come on everybody! Watch the SPG work today. So they use snap squads.
Do you work in the city?
No.
You don't? Why are you here at the moment?
Well, I'm one of the protesters.
What do you feel about what's happening here today?
Well, I hope that things can be done and perhaps we can occupy a building this time.
Will you be trying to occupy a building?
That's just one of the possibilities, we can't say.
And are there other people dressed like yourself here?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that that's a better tactic than doing it sort of blatantly like the other people are doing it?
Well, there's all sorts of tactics you can use.
I'm from an independent film crew. We're covering the demonstration today. Have the windows here been broken this morning?
Yeah.
Yeah? Who were they broken by?
Well, this lot.
Demonstrators?
Yeah. About 60 of them come down. They've done Barclays front door, they've done a Clydesdale, and they've done ours.
Yeah. What do you think they're hoping to what statement are they making?
You ask me.
What do you feel about it?
I think there's a minority that are just here for the violence and a large portion here to demonstrate peacefully, but there's always a percentage of violent people around. It attracts sometimes the wrong people, and we've just had them go past here.
How does it feel like to be on the inside looking out?
Well, it's pretty terrible. We was actually down the road. It was pretty terrifying. So we went to the Barclays and they rushed out of there, like. Anybody being away, like, terrible. Turned you up,
I think they're just frustrated people that have got a lot of hang-ups, and it's the only way they can sort of get them out is to either demonstrate peacefully or some, totally go violent. I mean, I don't really know what statement, what they're trying to achieve, really. I mean,
it's a GLC day of action today. The buses were on strike yesterday, and they were on working today, so they could bring people in. So, I mean, this just involves a lot of people are going to look at that as if it's just a GLC day of action,
Yeah,
they're just making it bad for everybody,
Do you think what they're trying to say is valid?
Do I think so?
Yeah, green and common seems okay, that sort of thing, but there's no need to go smashing windows,
No, whether they're unemployed or not, and whether they feel so frustrated that we are actually employed and they are unemployed, that they're getting at us, I don't know. I haven't spoken to any of them really. No. I understand the you know, against the arms. I mean, a lot of people are against the arms. I mean, you do feel... How do I feel like I'm unemployed? I mean, we're here to earn a living, aren't we? I mean, we all got sort of certain opinions about things, but we also got to earn a living to live. I mean, and live with our consciences if that's the case. You know, it's just really deep things to go into.
You can live with your conscience.
We're not saying what they're doing is wrong, but there must be other ways of doing it, you know. Must be other ways.
Can I live with my conscience? Well, I mean, if you've got a wife and a family to keep, I mean, you obviously think of them first. I mean, if they're starving and, you know, you have to put things behind you. I mean, you don't always agree with things that are happening, but, you know, it's a democratic country. I mean, you can, as these people are doing, they're protesting in the way they know how, but like I do, like I vote. You know,
let's get it down to basics. I mean, once you get married and have children, you've got no say in the matter. You've got other responsibilities, and you've got to go to work. You know what I mean? You just got to do it. I've seen people at Green and Column going across the picket lines there. They're not doing it because they want to, probably. It's just because there's probably no other jobs in the area, and they've got to get a living. It's as simple as that, you know. If these people can change society so that we haven't got to work for these sort of people, great, you know. But I have. I've got no way out of it, you know what I mean? I've got to have a house, they give me a cheap mortgage, so I'm in, you know. It's as simple as that.
Survival, I think, a lot of it. It's just basic survival. I mean...
Yes, but if I mean, our survival is potentially threatened by the involvements of the companies.
I make a lot more effect. I think I make a lot more effect if they went down and spent their dull money on a Burton's Pinstripe suit and come down here and sat down in the middle of the road.
How do you think
people associate with them then?
I mean, do you think they wouldn't really affect the people, though, that are actually high enough to sort of make these decisions? I think they were just sitting there, closing all offices.
Do you think they find it amusing, though, do you?
All they're doing now is just upsetting the working class.
Exactly,
really.
I don't know, I ain't got a clue. Hey? I don't know, mate, I'm not interested in what's going on.
Don't like it?
My living.
Oh dear?
Yeah.
Right. What do you reckon about what's going on then?
Oh, well, his life is finishing now, so he doesn't want to know.
His life?
Yeah, I mean, even though he says he's got grandchildren and things, I mean, he won't even sort of agree with us or anything. He says that he goes on about how he's fought in wars and things, and what we're saying is you don't have to, you've got every right to say no. It's your life, you know. Nobody has the right over you to tell you what to do. Only yourself can tell you what to do.
Do you think that the demonstration has been successful here today?
The police have been very, very violent and aggressive with us, and I've already been warned of being arrested. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Cars charging through and knocking people over and things.
I mean, what statement were you setting out to make in the first place?
That we're sick of all the death and all the bloodshed. I mean, somebody came over to that paint over there and went and said, oh, you know, look at all this paint, isn't it a mess? You know, well, it is better than blood. You know, so many people die and are killed every day, and nobody even realises, and nobody even gets to hear about things like this. And now when we have the right to speak to you, we get moved on.
You can talk to me anywhere you want. Just don't do stationery, all right?
Will.
There you go.
It's really cold, actually. It's chilled through. Can you put on that for me as well?
Margaret Thatcher, go to hell! your foot.
If you have anything to say about the demonstration that's happening here today.
Give me a few minutes to think about it. No,
All right.
no, I probably will.
What do you feel about all this?
Is this live?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
Turn it off.
Hello, I wonder if you have anything to say about the demonstration that's happening here today.
Well, I find it very confusing as to what it is they're demonstrating about. There seem to be a large number of young people here. There's no indication by their banners as to what they're in favour of or what they're against.
I believe
and I find it somewhat confusing.
So you see this as being a futile protest, do you?
I would hesitate to say futile because it's basically up to people to do what they want, to say what they want, so long as they do it within the law. At the moment, these people appear to me to be acting legally. I don't agree with their views, but I'm sure they have a right to express them.
I think that this is just a sign that they're trying to knock at the so-called establishment. I don't think that it's they're even being honest in what they're saying. As I said, I would feel much. Of course it is. I would feel much happier if they went and blockaded Plessis or something, which gets arms contracts overseas year after year. It's not far out of London. They could do it on a cheap day return.
I'm from an independent film crew. I wonder if you could tell me what statement is being made today.
Why I hear people here today is basically to show their physical presence against the unstoppable war machine and to prove that human beings are more powerful than tanks. Why is that? Well, because the financial institutions' involvement in the arms trade, the millions made by banks out of racist regimes in Namibia and South Africa, uranium mining and things like that. It's basically to do with the exploitation of humanity and also animals by the state. And I hope a lot more people come down.
What are you doing now then? You're moving them now?
No, I'm going to hold them in now.
Yeah?
We tried moving them, it didn't work.
No, right.
So,
What's been happening? Has it been...
It's been alright.
Yeah? No trouble?
Yeah, it's been plenty of trouble, but not desperate, you know, not frightening.
You're more present than you were last year.
Yeah, we deployed.
Well,
we know more about it, but we deployed differently.
Right. What do you mean? What does that mean? What's the policy? Is it just to keep people moving?
Yeah, really and truly, it's to allow them to demonstrate. We want them to demonstrate, you know, but it's got to be lawful. It's the only criteria. We want to let them, but it's got to be dignified, or they've got to be a dignified protest.
If I start building this with bombs and houses, it's okay for...
Yeah, if you want to make a proper job, or put your foot forward a different way, not by smashing windows and slashing tyres.
Perhaps that's a sign of the times. People are getting more desperate, perhaps.
No excuse.
No excuse for what?
Well, violence, is it? Or destruction?
Well, how about the fact that the companies who are involved in the city are producing arms which are enormously more violent than any demonstration could ever be? What do you think about that?
Yeah, okay, but it swings around us, isn't it? You're not going to do away with it by just smashing up windows or whatever.
Well, maybe it makes a statement more than purely by peaceful demonstration. Possibly.
And it still won't work, whatever you do, will it? Basically, I mean, okay, sympathy's on both sides, but it won't work.
Why not?
Because you've got to persuade the people at the top, haven't you? Not people in banks, what have you. It's the government you've got to persuade. The heads of government to get around the table and pull their fingers down, isn't it? Which they're not doing, admittedly.
Do you think they should do that?
Oh, yeah, they've got to do something pretty soon.
Right.
Whether they do, I don't know. They probably won't, but...
I don't think they will either.
No, I don't. I think the whole thing's a farce.
We've just come along to give our support and solidarity for what everybody's trying to show here. There's a lot of people against the whole system that creates war, and from people make we feel a lot of people make profits out of war by selling armaments, selling torture equipment, things like that. And
which is why it's centred on the city.
That's why,
yeah. Because it's where all the financial companies are based, all of which profit from the war machine.
We've been talking to a lot of people who work in the banks, and some of them are willing to talk about why we're here, and that's really the whole point. Is we can, unlike a demonstration or a formal march, you can just wander around and talk to people and hand out leaflets to the people who really have the power.
Having read this leaflet,
yeah.
What do you feel about the demonstrations happening today?
Well, quite frankly, I feel that the point that's being made is quite a radical point, but I'm not too sure whether the demonstration is going to affect anything.
What do you think a better way of going about it would be?
There isn't one. There's no alternative. I think this is the only method open, that's available. Mind you, I've got a lot of doubts about the morals of some of the people on the demonstration. As far as I can see, I mean, we've had a few demonstrations up here, and a few people seem to be turning up every time, regardless of the issue.
Which people?
Well, I think I recognise one or two people from the demonstration. When was it? Last year. I mean, if they actually stopped the city, and managed to force some sort of issue on it, I mean, that's terrific. But I can't see them doing it with the support they have.
Do you feel that you could be of support to it?
Not without losing my job.
And you wouldn't be prepared to lose the job?
I mean, my job isn't of that much value to me, let's put it that way, but basically people in our sort of jobs are to do anything which doesn't affect themselves anyway. I mean, it's just a way of life for these people in these offices. 9 till 5, as long as it doesn't affect them, to hell with whatever. They're not going to put themselves out, for anything unless it affects their family life or their home life or whatever. I think society, such as the one we're living in at the moment, is people say that in order to survive you've got to protect yourself, build up an arsenal of these horrific weapons. And I don't believe a society which has to rely on these weapons is worth saving in the bloody first place. It's a complete bloody contradiction in terms. Especially when you get down to the nitty-gritty where you've got weapons which destroy people's sight, kill people with leaving buildings standing. It's just absolutely phenomenal. I just can't understand how people can be like that. It's just ridiculous.
Basically to demonstrate against the arms trade and the way that the big finance companies, the finances of the world, sort of treat arms as more important than profits rather than people dying in this third world and things, feeding people.
Do you feel that the demonstration is being successful?
No, not really today.
How do you think it would be better?
People dancing around more and dancing in between the policemen. It's a lot more effective. Did it up at Hayfield, it's a lot better. And like here, people just going around banging bricks through windows. And
how do you feel about the bricks through the windows?
I think it's pretty stupid because, like I said, someone sat behind the window and a brick goes through, they'll probably end up with no eyes and lacerated head and stuff. Yeah, much rather try and persuade the people rather than bang bricks at them. Right. That won't achieve anything.
What could happen now that would begin to persuade the people, do you think?
Well, hopefully just try and persuade them, I suppose, and just try and get a lot of publicity for the thing, for what we're doing. Basically, I suppose, publicise it and get the facts, try and make people more aware of what's happening. It's like just television, all the media just says about the other side of it, the bank side and the government side, but that about the truth behind the fact that people are starving, in the world, and they're spending so much on weapons and stuff that's only going to kill man anyway, and animals and everything. And that, saying, "Oof, get out of the way," going, "Oh, don't hurt her." And she goes, "Do you want to get arrested?" And you're going, "Well, I'm not worried about getting to prison, because prison's good, because you get 3 meals a day, and it's all right. But try and frighten you with it, you know what I mean?"
What do you think about this protest that's happening here today?
I don't think it's doing very good, but I mean...
Why not?
At least you're not lying down and crying about it. Like when people say, like the Jews, I don't understand how they sat there and got shot in the neck and fall over, you know what I mean? I mean, like, at least you could run away and get shot and have a good try at it. But I mean, I don't think we're going to do any good, but I mean, I'm not going to sit there and do anything about it. I'm going to try.
So you can't, you've got to keep moving.
Do you think this year anything will be achieved?
What's it going to achieve? Put more people against them. Yeah, that's what it's got to do. Violently.
It makes a more radical statement, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but I don't think anyone will support them if they go around doing the stuff they're doing today.
There's no need for violence. That's peaceful as you want.
to do with McDonald's and selling protest down there. We've been protesting out there. People all know for the arms and all that. It's generated well in general on the workforce.
Move off somewhere anyway, but not hanging around here.
I've just come through the city and I've accepted a leaflet from one of the demonstrators in their Stop the City campaign. I support it because I think it is insidious, the way in which money is used for making weapons done. But what I think is so sad is that there are one or two amongst a crowd of people demonstrating here who have been quite vicious in their attitude. I've seen a car, all right, it was a Rolls Royce, I'd love to have one, but they jumped on it and kicked the windows in. And I just can't see how that is going to help this case. It's a shame, it really is. It really is a shame. Right?
What do you reckon about this demonstration here today?
Not much.
Do you sympathise with it?
I know it's all about this, really.
Their statement was to stop the city. Like, we're all here.
You don't think it's effective?
No, it's totally ineffective. You can see everybody's walking around, everybody's going to lunch, nobody's running, nobody's scared. I mean, the people that normally work in the city.
Do you feel that it's not making a statement as far as you're concerned?
No, it's not making any statement, it's just being bloody annoying.
Are you involved in
I
work?
work in there. I work in the stock exchange.
Right. And you think it's a pointless gesture?
Oh, it's laughable. It's pathetic.
Tell me why you've come along here today and what you're trying to say by being here.
Well, today is the day on which the City of London counts up its profits for the last, I believe, 6 months. And the point of us being here is to protest about the fact that so many of the multinational corporations make those profits by exploiting, say, the Third World or making use of the arms trade.
And women as well, yeah.
Women's labour.
Yeah.
There are also people here who are protesting about the profits made from the trade in animals that have been battery farmed or slaughtered, whatever.
Right. So, do you think that the demonstration so far has been successful?
Fairly. I mean, it's really difficult to say because it's not one big thing. It's like sort of things going on all over the place. One of the things that I've been involved with has been fairly successful. Well, I thought it was good fun anyway.
What was that?
Well, it was a raid on Boots Chemists to lift all the Tampax and sanitary towels as a protest against the fact that women have to pay VAT on Tampax. That was good fun. I think the police have been really violent because it just doesn't seem really to be all that much hassle going on, and they're really overreacting.
Yeah.
Right.
The point of this is we're trying to create a carnival atmosphere.
Yeah.
Do you think it should be more like a carnival?
Oh, yeah, certainly.
So what do you think about what's happening here today?
Very good indeed.
It's all right.
Very good indeed. I mean,
What about the car being turned over and the windows being smashed? What do you think about that?
Well, I haven't seen it. I mean, I've only heard about it. I wasn't there. I mean, when they've been with us, they've been very well behaved, apart from a couple of smoke bombs early on.
Do you think that's a sign of the time? Do you think demonstrations are going to become generally more like that, or do you feel that they're going to be more like you?
Well, if you look at history, demonstrations are getting more peaceful, aren't they? You think in 1887 they called the army out and they shot 12 of them dead. You think of the riots of 1936, which caused the Public Order Act of 1936 to be passed, when it was at the end of the world. I mean, the demonstrations we get now, even Brixton and that, when you look at the miners, the colours, Black Sunday, 1888, Black Friday, whatever, you know, that meant they were getting them killed.
I'm here because I want to make a public statement that I'm not going to consent anymore to the profits that are made out of, well, capitalist system generally, but more specifically the war industry.
Right.
That's why I'm here. And that,
And you think that...
I'm here because I've demonstrated lots of other ways. I've signed lots of petitions and I've been on lots of marches. And I think this needs to be done as well, because I think that kind of protest can be contained. And I think they're learning better how to contain this kind of protest, but I think it's more... upsets them more. It's just kind of less of a consent to fit in with the systems that we're supposed to be accepting.
How do you feel about the broken windows and the car which got turned over and things like that? Do you think that that's...
I didn't know a car had been turned over. The only windows I saw being broken were at Barclays Bank, which, considering its investments in South Africa, I think it's reasonable to use direct action against Barclays Bank. And it was done together with a picket. I don't know anything about the Guardian Royal Exchange.
But what do you feel about that as
I think
tactic?
also I think that it's not as if we're just a bunch of rioters who are just throwing stones. I think that it's important that that's one of the things that's going on in quite a creative, sort of atmosphere. And I certainly think, as I was trying to say that to policemen, and he wasn't interested in listening to me, which is surprising, that the consistent violence I've seen has come from the police and not from any of the demonstrators, which is what I've seen before.
Yeah.
And I think that, people have got this kind of rage against the way the profit's made, and I think, people expressing, the kind of line might be, well, there's lots of us who are peaceful on this demonstration, and aren't we being let down by the people whose rage is so great they want to smash windows? I think that that's not a fair comment if that's how alienated people are by it. I just think, it's better that they're out expressing it.
I wonder if you have any comment to make on the activities. No comment? No comment. Anyone else like to make a comment on what's going on today? No comment?
Moving on to reports and instruction.
Right. About how it's gone today?
I think it's pretty good laugh. Police were very heavy this morning and stuff, and everyone's just scared of getting nicked. Yeah, it's pretty good, yeah.
Got our firms level of us before we even got...
What about the bricks through the bank and things like that in the
Pardon?
car? What about the bricks through the bank in the car? Do you think that was good?
The car I never saw it, but what I heard, the bloke was trying to run over a few people.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so it's kind of rough justice. And it's like, the bank, you can't condone it, but when you see what they're financing, it's so very, very minor, it's not worth bothering about.
Right. So do you think it's been an effective statement?
It's been an effective statement, but we can't kind of stop at this. You've got to carry on and stuff.
Yeah.
This is one way, Greens and Liver.
Yeah.
And so,
Good. Okay, so.
Right.
What's happening down here now? Why has everyone come down here?
People got nicked this morning are getting tried now.
Right.
They're all being adjourned probably, so pleading not guilty.
Do you think that more people will come down here?
Possibly.
We did last time, everyone was down here.
Yeah.
And then the sort of like little riot thing started up, didn't it? I just really wanted to get in on some of the actions, but spent most of the time looking around for like large groups of people.
Yeah.
That's my trouble.
If there's a lot more sort of people sticking together and actually doing something instead of wandering the streets.
Because the court sessions are in there.
Are there people being tried in there?
It starts at 4 o'clock.
Right. Do you think there'll be more of a demonstration down here?
There will, gradually it'll track down here. Right. I mean, last year it got really out of hand.
Did it?
Yeah, well, they tried driving at us with police horses.
Down here?
Yeah, we forced a wedge, you see. Depends what happens. People are quite, you see them arriving more and more in. They bring more and more police in there.
Yeah.
It depends. People are subdued because they're basically a bit knackered at the moment, really. You know, so can't tell what's going to happen there.
Right, come on, boy. This way. Back that way. Identical sound.
riding the tiger of total destruction, and soon it may be too late to jump off.
Since World War II, over 150 wars have been fought and 25 million people have died. During times of peace, we are still victims as we slave and rot away in their system. At all times, we are running for our lives. Thatcher is deaf to our pleas, and with Reagan, they are playing a personal game using all the latest lethal technology called world destruction. These people are leaving the City of London after a hard day in their office and bank jobs. Millions of pounds will have passed through their hands and important transactions and deals made. Collectively, they do the clean, boring work that is endangering us and the future of our planet. In this small area is the stock exchange, insurance companies and financial institutions which raise money and support companies such as uranium miners RTZ and Marconi, who make microcircuits for nuclear missiles. On March the 29th, 1984, there was a demonstration which had the aim of bringing the City of London to a standstill.
360 people are arrested and police are injured in a city demo. 360 people were arrested and 2 policemen were injured when demonstrators tried to bring the City of London to its knees today. Windows were smashed and smoke bombs set off as police clashed with many of the 2,000 protesters. They were there to demonstrate at the way they claim that big business backs, among other things, the arms race. Simon Neve has this report.
At the height of the demonstration, the square mile of the city looked like a battlefield. The protesters included peace groups, campaigners against the fur trade, and anti-apartheid organizations. The clashes began early in the day as police, who'd had warning of the demonstration, tried to keep the roads and pavements free of campaigners.
1,000 protesters tried to bring the financial heart of London to a standstill in what they described as a Stop the City demonstration. It centred on the Stock Exchange, the Bank of England, and was timed to coincide with the ending of the financial year. Hundreds of demonstrators were encircled by a police line in the hope that it would stop the violence. But as angry demonstrators tried to break out, there were frequent scuffles. Police feared they might have been outnumbered during the early part of the demonstration as the numbers of protesters and arrests began to rise. City of London, Metropolitan and police officers from outside London were brought in to control the crowd. But the scuffles continued and a number of smoke bombs were thrown into the crowd. At times, traffic was halted. The arrests far outnumbered what the police were expecting, and a special court was set up to deal with offenders. Police feared they might have been outnumbered during the early part of the demonstration as the numbers of protesters and arrests began to rise.
Those television pictures are being shown around the world, and they're doing damage to Britain just at a time when Britain's reputation is really improving very fast. It's terribly important that we once again re-establish Britain's reputation and don't see any more of the sort of violence and disturbance that we've been seeing recently.
That was what was shown on the news that night. A distorted glimpse of what happened on Stop the City on March the 29th. It showed it as a day of confusion, violence, confrontation, more violence, arrest, and as the world cracked to loonies.
You could have written the stories beforehand yourself, but I don't think that that's something that we really can take into account for the next one, because we know that the sort of step we're taking is A, illegal, and B, very, very threatening indeed. to the state. And obviously the media isn't going to turn around and pat us on the back and encourage more people to join us. It's not in their interests to do that.
The demonstration started in the morning and was to go on till about 6 o'clock in the evening. Unlike marches or rallies, there was no controlling organisation, no leaders or stewards. There was no plan of action. Individuals and groups came from all over Britain with various views and plans as to how to stop the city. In the morning, the police were well outnumbered and confused, totally unable to cope with actions such as the mass runs, people stopping and talking to workers, and occupations of buildings. Reinforcements were called and more arrests were made. The police penned protesters into areas such as the Royal Exchange and were held there, not allowed to leave. Arrests were made for no reason at all, for not moving on or for playing even the bongos. Great frustration grew on both sides, the police frequently, violently, losing their tempers and dragging people into their vans. However, there were too many of us. It was never our intention to be in a brawl with the police. Our main quarrel was with the financial giants, not with their pathetic bully boys.
Well, just as to show, you know, people are against what's going on and what happens here.
Against what? Against what is going on?
Well, the massive amount of funds that go through the stock exchange and, you know, for arms deals, you know, all things like that. And
the world's got to survive, hasn't it?
Not through arms races, hasn't it?
Got to defend yourself.
You all got your opinions, but then again, if nobody wants to know, why keep on? You can't change someone. If I said to you, you've got to eat meat, you wouldn't do, would you? If you're a vegetarian. Told no one nothing. They're running around like a load of lunatics. They should just stand there and say what they've got to say, don't they? They're running through here.
Are they?
How can they listen if they're running through here like... Obviously people get scared, there's millions of them, isn't there?
Quite a few people in the city that are not involved in funding the arms race. I think you should tack your protests to the MPs, etc. They're the people that control this country.
What reasons do you think people are stopping the city today?
Why are they stopping it?
Yeah.
Well, perhaps, you know, they think we'll come up here, we'll cause a riot, we'll have a bit of fun.
Who thinks this?
Well, I don't know, these people are stopping me, I'm stopping this.
This was some of the responses we got from the people who worked in the city. Most of the time they just couldn't understand what all those weird-looking people were doing in their nice, clean, normal area. Then it got to the stage where the police just wouldn't let anyone move.
A rather unpleasant policeman removed my boots.
Why?
He didn't like them.
Yeah,
I did like them. I think that because they're steel caps.
He took them off because they're steel caps?
Aye.
How much were they?
I was surprised. 41 quid.
Were they? Did he say where you can get them back?
Yeah, it comes up Billingsgate police station or something.
Did he? So you've got to go there in bare feet?
Yeah. I've got to go everywhere in bare feet.
I've seen a man from the stock market this afternoon with steel toe caps and he hasn't got his shoes.
It's hardly surprising, is it?
Yeah.
They're just picking on anybody now, aren't they?
Did they just pick on you? Were you doing anything?
No, I was just walking down. I wasn't in a crowd or nothing. I was just standing around talking.
What's been happening today?
Some of it's good. The old bill have been really over the top, though.
Yeah, I've
As
seen.
usual.
Have you seen any like unjustified arrests?
Have I seen any?
Yeah.
I got a camera for
Coppers try and get my camera off me after I took photographs of police beating shit out of somebody.
How can I
All day.
Well, most of it's legal.
Is it? So you can't stay? That's okay.
Running around most of the time. And
yeah, when there's a big run.
We always all running around.
Have you been threatened by the police or anything?
Yeah, I was called a dirty, smelly cunt at one point by one upholder of the law.
Yeah. Did you see anything else by the police that you know that would have caused
somebody got their knee broken.
How?
And from when the police sort of smashed into her and she broke her knee, and they just sort of said, one of them started laughing and thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
The fucking stock exchange and Barclays Bank and apartheid.
I came here for anything. Police brutality all day, and what bastards the pigs are, pushing people about just standing in the street.
I think the police have been absolutely superb. They've been terribly tolerant. They've sat in those vans since 7 o'clock this morning, and they've just sort of moved out very occasionally and then gone back again. I think they've been marvellous from what I've seen.
LBC, top 20 share check. BP up 9, 495, Barclays Bank up 8, 472, Blue Circle 415, Bass up 5, 368, Low Water up 3, 323, GEC up 1, 177, GKN down 3, 194. Hawker Siddeley up 4, 427, ICI up 2, 594, Land Securities up 1, 276, Lucas down 1, 221, Marks & Spencer down 1, 247, RTZ 607, Royal Insurance up 8, 553, Thorn EMI 617, Unilever down 5, 910. LBC's shares on the move this hour. Baker's Household Stores up 27 at 1.
At this moment, life on this planet is being destroyed and murdered. The likelihood of a nuclear war to end it all seems increasingly imminent. Power lies with the state, government and large companies. Through them they direct and control mass poverty, pollution of land and the seas, the torturing to death of millions of animals, the financing and supply of arms for wars. There is no end to the suffering they create in the pursuit for profit. The City of London is one of the headquarters for capital. Remember that while we passively resist, they are killing. While we try to talk and reason, they have only lied, silenced, or lock up our voices in their prisons. We cannot accept their authority to shut us up and imprison us while they carry on killing game. There are thousands of us. If we are to help the South Africa, the north of Ireland, to halt pollution and wage slavery and to dismantle nuclear weapons, then we have to direct our fight, our fight, at the city. Stop the city on September the 27th.
Well, if you want to stop the city, why not talk about cutting telephone communications, interfering with computers, at the very least fucking up police walkie-talkie systems and so forth. The police should never have been allowed to get away with that number of arrests, never been allowed to get away with that kind of violence. They used more violence against the demonstrators than the demonstrators ever planned against them.
I suppose come up against the police and develop tactics, and I think the affinity group, that method of organising tactics is incredibly important, where you have small groups of people who know each other, who can depend on each other, who have a clear strategy and approach to come out into the street and put their theories into practice. And I think a lot has to be learned from this last Stop the City, and a lot had been learnt from the one before that.
The whole strength of it to me is that people get together with people they can trust and hopefully think very carefully about what they're going to do and what they're actually capable of doing, not what they fantasise that they'd like to do, and very efficiently take part in that action, which hopefully causes some disruption. I mean, that might be something that didn't involve going to the city at all.
I mean, there were so many people. I just felt really frustrated that there wasn't really a feeling of unity, I don't think, in any way. It was just like people were waiting for something spontaneous to happen. It didn't happen, so they just milled around. And I mean, I felt frustrated that we weren't able to use those numbers to actually do something really incredible. I mean, people like us just kept going off and doing stuff on our own, or other people didn't.
Very important. But I think that there's also a danger in that sort of diversity of not having a common approach, which is crucial if we are going to have future successful Stop the Cities, and I think this comes out very clearly over something like stopping people from being arrested. I think that the antagonisms between pacifists and anti-militarists, let's say, will definitely come out if we don't solve them before the next Stop the City, and be quite disruptive. I think that the whole question about our dealings with the police have to be thought about very carefully. I think there is no point in provoking the police to beat you up or arrest you. I think you have to be quite clever and outwit the police, which isn't actually very difficult to do. But I think
the point of Stop the City was to get lots of people into the city, and so you could do things on a large scale. But what happened with all those people was just that they'd stand around and be really passive, sort of waiting for others to take the initiative. And it was to do that because there was no support. If you started getting arrested, there was absolutely no support.
What happened? We went to the NatWest Bank. It was about 8:45. There was loads and loads of people there, and we were trying to stop people getting in the bank. And one guy two cops tried to nick him, so a whole crowd of us tried to stop it happening. All pushing and pulling, and one of my friends bit a policewoman, and really good.
Whereas if you join arms, which I think was very important to do in lots of situations, join arms, make chains. If you do that, it's so impossible to get you away from each other. Whereas if people just stand around individually, it's so easy to just, get rid of people.
There were loads of arrests because people allowed themselves to be arrested. They allowed themselves to be arrested either by just doing stupid things like, that would get them arrested anywhere. They just got carried away and tried to do things like under the noses of policemen, and the policemen just nicked them.
It's clear that a lot of people are making money out of the arms race, that it's not that we need these weapons and missiles to protect us. And who are they protecting, and what exactly are they protecting? And I think one of the things we wanted to make clear was that we're not interested in the way of life that's being protected for us. It's a way of life that has to be drastically altered and changed.
There's lots of groups that were supposed to plan actions that were supposed to happen that day. And I was really surprised when I went there that there wasn't more things going on. Because so many meetings have been held that there should have been more happening. And I think it's really important that right from the start there's a lot happening, right from early in the morning. And that will also make other people think of things to do. And also I thought that once night time came that would be a really good time to do things, because when it's dark it's so much easier to do things and get away with it. But it was like everyone got so exhausted. I think what's important about it is also that you get ideas for actions that you can do in other days, not just like everyday things. And you can when you can do things and Stop the City, like the little actions that we did, when you can do those and get away with them, you can get away with them 10 times easier.
So even though we could get arrested or whatever, but next time we do something different. We try not to get arrested. Just the very fact of our presence there fucks them up. They can't handle it.
Do you think we've learnt something from this? What sort of things have we learnt?
Well, what we've learned, you can't use it in an interview, because they're just going to give them the information, but we have learned things.
So we're more prepared.